Hello, this is building an iOS app with C#, Module 8, Video 1. This is the final module and the final video in the series, in which I'll be providing a summary and a demo. So first of all, I wanted to revisit the goals that I mentioned way back at the start of this series and kind of discuss what we achieved, what we didn't. So the first goal I had was to be frictionless. In other words, to make it really easy to use the application. I think for the most part that's true. It's a simple interface. The one way in which I think this could most be improved is that the parsing time of the documents is currently quite slow, and that's due mostly to Sprash's. It's not really designed for high performance parsing. It's more for small pieces of text that need to be parsed, whereas we're using it in such a way that we have a big document and there's a lot of possibility for backtracking whilst we parse that document. So the end result is quite a slow parse. So that's something that could be addressed in various ways. One would be to get rid of the sprash altogether and perhaps parse it in another manner. Another would be to cache the result of the parse and reuse that until the document changes. And another way would be to not parse the model out of a document at all, but perhaps store it in some other manner like JSON. But I think for the purposes of this video series, what we've got now is certainly good enough. So the next goal I had was for it to be liberating. I wanted to make sure the application allowed me to do my exercises and not have to kind of count sets and reps or give it too much thought. I wanted to be able to think about other things whilst I was exercising, and I certainly think that's been achieved. The app is very flexible and it can be as vocal as you want it to be, and it can tell you whatever you need to be told whilst you're exercising, including timing, giving you timing information so you don't have to count or pay much attention at all to timing. So the next goal I had was flexibility, and this is one thing I definitely think we've achieved. We've got an extremely flexible syntax that allows you to configure your exercise program exactly how you want it, do things on certain sets and reps. We've got the whole numerical constraint parsing infrastructure there, so that you can be very flexible in how you specify which actions should occur when. So I'm totally happy with that. And simple to update exercises, I think we've achieved this as well, although it does require a separate machine. Obviously, to edit the iCloud doc, you need to go onto your Mac and open the doc there. But once you've got that, it is extremely simple to make the changes, save them, and they automatically appear on your device. And lastly, the robustness. I think certainly we've achieved this as well. Got a very high number of unit tests, and I think they're quite good quality as well. So I'm totally happy with that. So to wrap this series up, I just wanted to give a demo of the application as it stands at the end of this series. Of course, it may change. I may improve certain things, but I think on the whole, it'll remain very similar to what we've got here. So first of all, let me open the app. And here we see the list of exercise programs. Now, one thing I haven't shown yet is dynamic type changes. So if I go into the settings here, and I think it's accessibility, larger text, and I make the text nice and large, and then I go back into our app, you'll see that the text all resizes to be bigger, and that's true of both views. So you can see that the exercise names here are bigger as well. And likewise, if I go back to settings and set it back to how it was, you'll see that it shrinks back down to what it should have been, to what it should be. So that's dynamic type. So another thing I want to show again, because it's pretty cool, is actually editing the document. So if I open the exercise program document here, this is a program called Moo, by the way. I think that's how you pronounce it, MOU, and it's a markdown editor and previewer. So these are the sample exercise programs that come with Workout Watch. And let's say I've decided that I actually want to keep both of them. So I don't want it to say sample exercise program anymore, so I'll just delete that from both. And I've noticed as well in the upper body strength, I think, the pull-ups.
Sit up, pull-ups, biceps.
pull-ups exercise, I think, is, yeah, the timing's kind of crazy. I'm just turning this down a bit. So clearly there's a mistake there. So let's say I want to fix that as well. So the metronome here, so this is pull-ups, metronome 1.5 seconds, 0.1 seconds. Okay, clearly that's a mistake. That should be 1 second, I think. So I'll fix that. And finally, let's say I wanted to add my own exercise program for carpal tunnel syndrome stretches. So I'm just going to call it CTS stretches. And I'm going to base this on an excellent video by David. I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I'll probably get it wrong, but here's the web page. It's on Lifehacker. So do check that out. Especially if you've got any CTS symptoms. Now, he doesn't give his stretches any names, so I've kind of had to name them myself as best as I can. There's 4 altogether, and the first one is kind of reaching forwards and grabbing your thumb and pulling down on your thumb. And I'm just going to call that proffer thumb grab because it looks like you're proffering something. And most of these you only do once, so I'm just going to do 1 set, 1 rep. And there's no need for preparation or anything, so we can just, before the exercise starts, we can just say begin. And then during the rep, there's no need for a metronome or timing or anything like that, and we just need to wait for 10 seconds while you do that stretch. Okay, and the next one I've called wrist flexion. And again, it's 1 set, 1 rep. And we can do it for 10 seconds again. But of course, currently what's going to happen here is this exercise is going to finish and then this one's immediately going to start. So we probably want some kind of break. So I'll put that here after break for 5 seconds. And we're going to need the same thing here. And the next one I've called reach around thumb pull. And these names should be pretty obvious. If you watch the video, you'll see why I've called them that. One thing I forgot here, the wrist flexion is done once on each hand. So we should have 2 reps. And before rep 1, or the first rep, we can say left hand. And then before the last rep, which is rep 2, say right hand. Which means we don't really need this because we're already prompted to start by this, left hand or right hand. And the reach around thumb pull is a similar story. And we do that once per hand, and we should have 2 reps. Okay, and afterwards we should break as well, because we've got one more exercise here, or stretch, which I've called the double-handed halt to drop. Very imaginative with my names here. And in this case, it's just a 1 set, 1 rep. But it's done in kind of 3 stages. The first stage is you're kind of pushing your hands forward and holding your hand up like you're telling someone to halt. So both hands are up. That's why it's the double-handed halt. And then after 10 seconds, you kind of clench your fist and then drop your wrist down to a neutral position. And do that for 8 seconds. And then after that, you drop your hands down so that your fist is pointing downwards. And you do that for 10 seconds. So given the flexibility of the syntax, there are various ways we could actually represent what we need to do here, but I'm just going to do it as a single rep, and that single rep has a sequence of stages, if you will. So the first stage is to halt, and then we wait for 10 seconds whilst that's taking place, and then the next stage is the fist, wait for 8 seconds, and then the last stage is the drop, which goes for 10 seconds. And that's it. I've just saved that, and then hopefully, in our application, it looks like we've got an error. So I've stuffed up something here. Line 117, column 1. Oh no, now it's loaded. I must have auto-saved at some point when we were halfway through writing it. Okay, so cool. Now you can see that the upper body strength, lower body strength titles no longer have the sample exercise in there, exercise program, and our CTS stretches have been added. First of all, let me make sure that the change I made to the pull-ups,
push-ups,
is
sit-ups, pull-ups, biceps.
So this timing, yeah, so that's way better, more realistic. And then the CTS stretches. Okay, so here you can see all our exercises that we added, or stretches that we added. So I'm going to play through this.
Profit thumb grab, begin.
Of course, most of this will be waiting around, so I will fast forward through the boring bits.
Break. Ready. Wrist flexion, left hand. Right hand. Break. Ready. Reach around thumb pull, begin, left hand. Right hand. Break. Ready. Double-handed halt to drop, halt. Fist. Drop.
So there we have it. That all seemed pretty good. I think the breaks, though, should probably be at the start of the next exercise rather than the end of the previous exercise. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with that. So that is it for the series. I do hope you got something useful out of it. Here are my contact details, email and Twitter if you want to get a hold of me. Of course, you can also comment on YouTube or GitHub. So cheers, thanks for watching. Bye bye.